Michele Meiche joins us now by phone from her home office in California. Welcome, Michele. How you doing?
Hey, David. Doing great. Looking forward to sharing with you and the listeners.
So what's going on this month of October as far as, the shift in energy goes? And I also want to talk to you about the economy, which is really going through a shift. So a lot of, let's talk about the month and the energy of the month.
Okay, we'll dive into that. I want to say a couple things. It's a good thing you're bringing up economy. I've been with a lot of my clients and even in workshops talking a lot about the collapse of the economic structures, probably for a good, 6-7 years now. Even in this... Go ahead.
Is it a fait accompli? Is it going to collapse?
Yes, but I think the thing is we have to remember with anything that it's not catastrophic. It just depends where you're at. What I would suggest people do is have parallel ways, parallel economy or parallel resources. It's just like the old adage of not putting all your eggs in one basket, and I think in many ways people got a little complacent and put a lot of eggs, for better or worse, in one basket or one type of system. The system that we have, if you think of economy, if you look at it metaphysically, economics or economy is about managing energy. It's about managing currency. And so our currency is not just our, monetary or fiat system, if you will, or even gold or silver or even real estate. I mean, those are aspects of that represent a currency. They're ways of managing energy. We need to start with why the breakdowns are happening is so that we have a more conscious system and a system that is more predicated on what I call the new emerging consciousness and the beliefs that go around that. You're going to hear a lot more terms. You hear a little bit about transparency, obviously, authenticity, synergy, collaboration, cooperation. I would say if people would look to the tech world, the geeks, basically how they do business and how they think, especially in the old school way, that is more where we are needing to go. So it's not, we had a system base that was good for a very few. And also based only on money as the only currency. There's more currencies. There's your own resources, your own ideas, your own values, your own principles, your own talents, your own abilities. Food. If you're a farmer and you want to, farm, you need people that want to have those, your supply. So it's recognizing that everybody has a rightful place in this in the system, and that hasn't been so. So that's why there is going to be a lot of breaking down. This month especially, you're going to see a lot of, just like in September, a lot of rocky roads, especially with the stock market, which is being, this is a little controversial, but is being, in all accounts, manipulated. So we don't have a way to track really what's going on, which brings me to one of the points that's important in the shift, is people learning how to trust their intuition, their gut knowing, even beyond appearances. Even if something seems like it's going up or it's going to be great, if you don't have a good feeling or you think, wow, I'm too overly invested in this one area, or I'm not feeling my position in my company is really stable, and I've always wanted to also have my own business. Then the old paradigm, you used to be able to just kind of wait it out, suck it up, wait it out. That's not going to be true, because if you're getting those feelings, that's telling you something about the collective shift, but also your own personal shift within the collective shifting. So those are little warning signs. I've got to tell you, I've got a lot of clients that when they heed that, it ends up being okay. But when they don't heed that little voice within and they try to think, oh, it's not really happening, it's going to be okay, this economist or the president said it's all turning around, but I didn't feel that. Those people end up not faring so well.
How do you keep your cool about it? Like that's the one thing I love about you. And when I listen to your show on Blog Talk, you always have your cool, and you're in a zone of joy, and you exude that inner confidence. Well, how do you keep that?
Well, I think number one, seeing that for so many years that these changes were coming, it was only a matter of timing. Having timing within 6 months to a year. And recognizing that we're not just our money, we're not our monetary system. I'm not saying it's going up and down is not, challenging or difficult or even horrible. But we are more than that. So I think when people start looking at how they are more than that and connecting where the connections are, if your monetary system is going down, that's not the time to isolate. That's the time to reach out. I think for me also my spiritual path, my spiritual principles, being very connected to spirit, being, psychic medium and an intuitive. I always had that other side and that other reality and other understanding. So it's very comforting. It's, and I'm not saying my faith hasn't been tested or I haven't been tested. Definitely I have, but I think it makes it easier when you have this other aspect of you. Even when I was modeling and acting, if I noticed with other people, other models or actors that didn't get the job, they were just crushed. And my thing was I would have liked that money, but I didn't think of it was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, or I need to lose more weight, or I need to change. I just thought, it's not really, obviously I wasn't their cup of tea. And that's, some of it's family, but it really, I think the main thing really is my spiritual foundation. I would be going to chant or meditate or going to a workshop or a class, that it wasn't so much about the surface reality. It was more than that. And that's why this shakeup is happening, because, again, we've gone as far as we can with this type of world where so much is focused on the outer and not caring, not caring about each other, not coming from the heart. And I don't mean in a cliche-ish way, but I mean in a way that you have enough time to talk to somebody in the store or open the door for somebody, or, on the subway, let somebody sit down, or just engage and connect. We move so far away from that, and we really are here on this planet. It is about relationships. It's about creative expression. The money is simply a byproduct. It's another way of receiving, but it became the only way, and that's where we're really getting shaken up, because we've been taught it's the only way or the best way, and it's too limiting, David, for the soul. The soul doesn't like that. What we're having right now is a soul revolution.
Yeah, I hear you. And what I'm sensing is that we're going to create a new economy. Up here in Canada, we're pretty easygoing for the most part. We don't protest too much. But today in the news, there's groups that are going to start protesting Bay Street. Bay Street here in Toronto is equivalent to Wall Street. It's where the big banks are. And then there's going to be subsequent protests in Montreal, where there's the Montreal Stock Exchange, and in Vancouver at the Vancouver Stock Exchange. And we're taking the lead and the cue from the Wall Street protesters. So there's a real dissatisfaction starting to bubble and brew, not only in America, but, in Canada too. And then that's pretty odd for this country.
Internationally, one of the things that my guides had expressed, probably March, April or something, that the next phase of the awakening is the rude awakening, where there's going to be a lot of anger and rudeness and bitterness and just jolts and things like, marches and protests. But they also said, know where your fulfillment is, know where your gifts are, and act accordingly. In other words, everyone can do something. You know, some people listening may say, well, that I don't want to march and I don't want to do this and that. But you can do something. You can buy less, or you can not buy from companies that you know that are, you know, at least in the state, Monsanto. You can do some research and simply not buy there. You can do, you know, I for one, I use less paper products. I'm not totally there to use none, but I go, okay, I'm going to use more rags and, you know, wiping something up instead of going for that paper towel. I limit that usage. So there's things that you can do on an individual level. Everyone has a gift. Everyone has a talent. Everyone has a calling within the awakening. Not everyone is meant to march. Now, one of the things is that in the marching, and that's where the true changes will happen. It happens in this disruption. You know, the business is called disruptive innovation. There has to be the disruption, but there also has to be a place for people to go as things are disrupting and after the disruption is over. And that's where we ask for new forms of relationship, new forms of business or new businesses, new ways of hiring, new ways of working, healing facilities. So the disruption is needed and necessary, the protesting and all that entails, because it really does, in the old paradigm, that's really what gets the change going. But underneath that, the foundation of people choosing to think differently and live differently and get off the grid a bit, or create a parallel economies or parallel systems. I have neighbors that have talked, well, you know what, they're exchanging things now. They're not even calling it barter. They're just saying, I help this person do this, and they help me do this and this. And so they're making inroads that way into the economy, because they're not buying into the economy. They're not feeding into it.
Yeah, nor is your dog. he's protesting right now. The beauty of live radio. That was Yoshi putting her 2 cents in. Yeah, why not? Why not? And I'm reminded about this, economy. That we have a furniture chain here in Canada called Leon's, and they promise don't pay a cent event for a year. I think this is a good time to buy furniture. We might not have to pay a cent.
Yeah, exactly. You may not have to. It's to look and see what you can do, and more importantly, what's important to you. What are your values, your principles? What are your beliefs? What is your understanding? And how can you live from that while having respect and tolerance for others and sharing with others? That's what kind of got missed, was the sharing. That's kind of what went by the wayside in the old paradigm. And so we're really coming back to that, those kind of mutual, beneficial relationships.
Right. We got a couple minutes left. What's at stake this month? Where do we have to be?
Well, one of the things this month is it's showing more disruption, more up and down. It is showing new directions coming in. Many people are going to be going through a life review, a lot of looking at the past. And that one thing I wanted to touch on, we've got really an umbrella of change, or in this cycle that started in March. It's an 18 to 22-month cycle. And within that, what we're going to be talking about is those smaller shifts. One of the things you want to ask yourself in October are, what are your choices? How are your choices emerging? What's emerging, and go in that direction? Also, how can you integrate your spiritual focus for stress reduction, things like meditation, mindfulness, walking? How can you not overly focus on appearances in October, because October promises to be, the first week or so is a lull. I want to say right around mid-October, there's going to be a lot of fluctuation. That's even in the stock market and in the economy. So if you're overly focused on the external, David, what's going to happen is people are going to be like on the tail, the dog wagging the tail. You're going to be up and down, up and down. But if you have ways of unplugging from the external appearances, you'll be able to ride out October and have a lot more clarity.
So, no wearing the mask by the end of the month, right?
No what now?
No wearing a mask by the end of the month.
Yeah, it really, it's, what I find in these cycles that have been happening the last, 4, 5, 6 months is they're really gradiated. They're not as sharply defined when you look back. You'll see that one month goes into the next, into the next, into the next, into the next, and you'll see less and less of the mask wearing, especially as we get into the end of the year. I feel the 15th to 20th of October will be more of the rude awakening, more of the shock, disbelief, fear. What are we going to do? This is really happening? What's really going on? Or we've been, betrayed, or I trusted the system, I trusted the government. I think what people have to remember is, and this is why us all becoming more aware and more conscious is so important, is the systems are based on individuals. A corporation is a group of individuals. So it's not until the new emerging consciousness is more firmly in the mainstream that we have much more of a leap into what I would say is healthier, more beneficial. So our own house cleaning, October is a good time to do inner house cleaning. Like you said, no mask, At least be honest with yourself. That's what I would say for October. Be honest with yourself and what you really see, even if it's a tough decision. If you have that little nudge, that little voice inside saying, do such and such, you really need to listen to that, especially in October, because it's going to be continue to be a very volatile time.
All right. So we get in touch with you at selfandlight.com, right?
Absolutely, and my blog, Soul Insights for Spirit-Led Living, is another way to connect.
And also Blog Talk Radio /Awakenings every Wednesday
Absolutely.
at 2. Michele, thank you so much for this again this month. I can't wait till November to see what's going on.
I know.
We got 11-11-11 energy too, right? So.
Yeah, I was going to say even more, I would say explosive and transformative. Remember too, everyone listening to this, if you've already been seeing these changes and aligning to them, it may not be as jarring for you. So keep balance, keep your mind balanced, and it doesn't have to be catastrophic.
Yeah,
shifting doesn't have to be catastrophic.
And we signed up for this. This is an amazing time to be alive.
Exactly. Next time, read the fine print.
Yeah, I know. What? And buy furniture.
We can handle it. We don't get what we can't handle.
Right. And buy furniture at the end of the year.
Yes, buy furniture, yes.
At least you'll have a nice place. All right, Michele, thank you so much for this. Have a great night. That was Michele Meiche. What a beautiful soul. And selfandlight.com. And check her out. She does a radio show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on blogtalkradio.com/awakenings.